Welcome back to the Carelli kitchen. So, everyone loves caffeine, right? I mean, here in the Carelli household, we all love caffeine in its very many forms. And we've tried just about everything you can think of, hot, cold, and found what we like and the best way to prepare it. So, we have our little energy station here with lots of different options, and they're all good in their own ways. We have a huge assortment of loose leaf teas. We'll have a video in the future specifically on loose leaf teas. If you haven't gotten onto the Tiavana craze, there's a lot of really yummy teas out there that are much easier on your stomach and still have that caffeine that you might get from a normal cup of coffee. Speaking of coffee, we also have lots of options in that regard. We have an espresso machine here made by Breville, and again we'll have another video specifically on this machine and on just making espresso at home. It's a great option for a whole myriad of drinks, and you can never go wrong with a homemade cappuccino or a latte. But today what I want to talk about is coffee. Good old-fashioned coffee. Now, we have a Keurig that we've used for a long time, and the Keurig is a great option if you need to make different kinds of coffee quickly. If you've got some picky drinkers and you want to brew up a quick dark roast and then you also want a decaf for grandma, the Keurig is awesome for that. It's quick gratification, makes everyone happy, and they can have what they want. But if you aren't going to be making lots of different kinds of coffee, many people still rely on a traditional drip brewer, which is great if you need a big pot of coffee and you want to make sure that it stays warm. You can keep pouring it out, but the flavor isn't the greatest. You can still get good coffee, but it's not at the pinnacle of what coffee can do. And that is where the most simplistic of tools comes in, the French press. So today we're going to go over a French press and how you can make a phenomenal cup of coffee in about 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, so that way when you're going into work and you're trying to wake up from the night before and get ready for your day, you can have the best possible cup of coffee. And it is simple, it is cheaper than buying it, and once you start, you're not going to want to go back. I should also mention, when I say it's cheap, it's really cheap. This French press, which I use daily, cost $4. So, let's talk about French press coffee. This is a French press. You can get a French press anywhere, Amazon, Walmart, Target, and they can run as little as $4 to as much as $50 or $60. I'm here to tell you that you really don't need those expensive French presses. Again, this one's about $4 and some change after tax, and we picked it up at a restaurant equipment store. If this is too small for you, or you're making 2 cups of coffee in the morning for, husband and wife, or maybe you just like to down 2 cups, you also have larger sizes available. They look just the same, holds more, and this guy was about $8. Again, you don't need to spend a lot of money on a French press. It's a very simple mechanism. If you want to, that's on you. Me, I like to try to be as practical as I can. It lets me save money for other nifty gadgets. Speaking of nifty gadgets, let's talk about probably my most used single piece of technology in the kitchen, and that is this Cuisinart electric kettle. Now, you don't have to get this particular brand, but an electric kettle is a great tool to add to your kitchen. I use it all the time. It's great when you're trying to blanch vegetables. It's wonderful if you need to add milk to a yeast mixture to get it to start rising, water to a yeast mixture, not milk, to get it to come together a little faster. If you want to kind of speed cook your pasta, you can pre-boil your water here to add it to your pot. Of course, coffee and tea, any number of things. And this particular model is great because it gives you nice levels of control over the different types of things you may want to be heating up, especially with teas. The lower temperatures are important when you're dealing with green teas, more delicate teas that you don't want to boil the heck out of. This guy can bring a full liter of water to boil in a matter of minutes, and that is imperative if you're going to be using a French press for your morning coffee. If you're looking at using a stove kettle, they will work. Just know that it's going to take longer to get to that temperature that you want. Next, let's talk about grinders. Of course, you can get coffee anywhere any kind you like. I love Starbucks coffee. I know what it's going to taste like, and I know I can buy it in whole bean form. Now, of course, many grocery stores do have grinders in the aisle you can use to grind up your beans, so you already have them ground when you get home. I really recommend investing in a grinder if you're really going to get even moderately serious about coffee. when you grind the beans ahead of time, you're releasing everything that is trapped inside when they're roasted, and you want to grind them just before you use them to get the maximum amount of taste that you can get. And grinders really aren't that expensive. The one we have here is a Bodum. Both of the grinders we have are Bodums. I'm a huge fan. They last forever, they're aesthetically pleasing, but they work well, which is the biggest point. This one has a hopper at the top, so all I have to do is top off my hopper with some fresh beans, and I'm ready to go, usually for the week. If I'm drinking a lot of coffee for a few days, I've got everything in here, it's sealed, it's nice, it's ready to go. I can grind my coffee. You don't have to get something that big though. If you are just making occasional cups or just making coffee for you, Bodum does make smaller grinders like this guy here. Just put your beans in the top, close it, grind it up. This guy is not too expensive, and again, it pays for itself after a little while. We actually use this one for grinding up different kinds of spices and nuts and hard grindy things that we want to add to recipes. We keep it separate from the coffee. That way we don't get, weird spicy coffee. So again, get a grinder. You'll be happy that you did. So let's go ahead and we'll tell our grinder here to grind us up some coffee grounds. And we're going to go ahead and start our water. It's loud, I know. Alright, so our water is heating up. You can see our lights on here letting us know that it's working. Our grinder is stopped. And it comes out into this nice little holder. We're going to take our top off. And we're going to put our grounds into the French press. You can hear that beeping on that water. It's already done heating the water. I may have had coffee earlier, so the water was still a little warm. It'll take a little longer than that to get to the temperature you need, but not much. Put our top back onto our grinder, put it back. So now we've got our French press ready to go with our coffee grounds. You'll see about how much I have in there. It's a little bit, about a fifth full with coffee grounds. Now here's the part where many people who learn or start working with French presses kind of miss. So once your water is ready, which ours is, you're going to pour your water gently over the beans, or the grounds I should say at this point. And what we're doing is we're saturating them. We want them to get nice and wet, but we don't want to fill it up entirely. We don't want them floating necessarily. We want them to be absorbing all of that yummy hot water goodness. And what you'll start seeing develop in the top, and I'll try to show you here, is you'll start seeing bubbles develop in your grounds. And you want to see that. You want to let that water sit with those grounds, and the length of time you let it sit is a bit of a controversial point depending on who you talk to. I tend to like my coffees a little more, some would call it, my Marine uncle would say, watered down. I like them to be strong, but not so strong that my teeth fall out. So I'm going to let this sit maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes max. Other people prefer a 5 to 7 minute time frame. You just need to do some testing and figure out what works for you, what taste you like. So we're going to go ahead and let this sit. And again, I'll try to show you again. You can see we've got bubbles forming over various parts of the ground, so we know that we have the right amount of water in there. Okay, so it's been about 3 minutes. And we're going to go ahead and finish this off. And again, you can do less time if you want, especially if you want a weaker coffee. You can do more time again. It's a personal preference, but we hit just about the 3 minute mark, which is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to take my electric kettle. You can hear that water still bubbling in there. The Cuisinart keeps it warm, so I haven't turned it off yet. So that's great. You want to keep your water nice and warm. And you're going to go ahead and top off that French press, trying to make sure that when you're pouring it in, you're getting any of those loose grounds on the side of the French press pulled down. And that's mainly just so you don't get grounds into your pour. If you don't care about that, if you don't mind a little bit of grounds, you don't have to be as dainty with your pour. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my electric kettle. Since we're all done with that, with the Cuisinart, you just press the start button again. Voila, it's off, nice and safe. Push it out of the way. Again, if you take nothing else away from this video or this episode of Carelli's Kitchen today, really look into getting yourself an electric kettle. It is the most versatile, most useful, gadget that you could add to your kitchen arsenal if you don't already have one. So we have our grounds ready to go. We've got our French press nice and topped off. So now we're going to take our plunger, place it on the top, and now resist the urge to slam your plunger down. You want to steadily but gently push that plunger down, and you're pushing those grounds down, but of course your beautiful coffee is staying up top. And then go ahead and pour out your coffee. You can see it's got a nice rich color there. It smells wonderful. And this one small size French press fills up my entire large travel mug. And there you have it. Now you've got your coffee. So again, once you have your French press, the grounds at the bottom are actually really great to use in the garden or if you have compost. So you don't have to throw these away, you can save them. They are a great additive to your garden. Let nothing go to waste. And that's French press. So again, the longest aspects of this are heating that water and that initial first pour when you're letting those grounds soak. Aside from that, the entire process total, even if it's taking a little longer in the morning, shouldn't take longer than 10 minutes. And now you have wonderful, wonderfully smelling coffee, and you didn't have to pay $3, $4 at your local neighborhood shop or at a Starbucks or $2 or $3 at a Dunkin' Donuts. And when you buy this coffee, when you buy your beans whole, again, you can kind of control how much you're spending on your coffee, and you can get a much better cup of joe in the morning. So that's the French press and our electric kettle. That is coffee here at the Energy Station in the Carelli kitchen. And again, look for some future videos in the next coming weeks where we go over both the espresso machine, steaming milk, making a lovely latte, some cappuccino, as well as loose leaf tea and the tea craze. Tell you what, how about you let me know? Let me know here in the comments below, what do you want to see next? Do you want to talk about tea in its very many forms? Do you want to talk about getting yourself a nice shot poured out of your espresso machine? What would you like to see next? While you think about that, I'm going to drink my coffee now.